Miguna Miguna, the man whose second name is a repetition of his first. But what Kenyans cannot stop talking about was the recent television interview with Ken Mijungu. And I believe many of you will be shocked at the English word I'm going to use to describe that interview. The English word is disturbing. If I can use two words, deeply disturbing. Oh yes. And in this video you're about to take in, I dissect that interview. And I also dissect the character of Miguna Miguna. And especially the very disturbing issue that came out of that interview. Especially for Miguna Miguna supporters, fanatical supporters. Yeah, there was something that happened in that interview that has really disturbed them. Is still disturbing them. Find out what it is. And also make sure you stay with me till the end. Because towards the tail end of this video, I reveal something shocking about the character of this man, Miguna Miguna. Karibu sana! I hope you have your cup of warm tea ready, or whatever you're drinking. And of course, popcorn is very much in order. Enjoy! There is no doubt that Miguna Miguna is one of the most controversial Kenyans around. Controversy attracts public attention. People get to know you. And if, like in Miguna's case, something very unfortunate happens to you, that illustrates the impunity of a government, then you become even more famous. And like in the case of Miguna Miguna, some people start looking at you very seriously as a potential political liberator of the long-suffering people of Kenya. But sometimes your very character and nature as a person can be a great hindrance in any political ambitions you may have. I'll come to that later on this video. But let us start first of all with some matters of great concern that emerged from the recent Ken Mijungu Miguna Miguna interview on live television. Actually, some people say it is not Ken Mijungu who interviewed Miguna Miguna. It was the other way around. Miguna interviewed Ken. And it is easy for anybody who took in that interview to see what people mean when they talk like that. Anyway, let's start by hitting the nail on the head and focusing on the particular issue that came up that is of great concern to Kenyans, especially supporters of Miguna Miguna. And this was the point in the interview when things got really hot. Why? Because the interviewer introduced the name of Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. Miguna went ballistic. Oh, we discussed with you, Ken, what we're going to cover in this interview. I will not answer that question. I will not. I'm not boarding. I'm not boarding. Wah. Now, we know that the deputy president is a very hot political potato. We understand that. But what was the big issue here? And I will tell you something that casts even a bigger shadow of mystery over this particular issue. Yeah, something which may not be in the public domain. Now, all Kenyans must know that the people responsible for the very crude, unacceptable decision to deport a native Kenyan, the people involved with that were not the DCI, were not the Kenyan immigration officials, were not the goons who forced the Lunga Lunga dance at the JKIA to evict Miguna from his own country of birth. All those people I've just mentioned were just following orders. So the person really responsible for what happened to Miguna was the person issuing the orders. Now, the huge advantage of following up an issue very carefully right from the word go, before even anything happens, is that it is very easy later on to put everything together. And I'm going to tell you in a minute who the person, the one individual was issuing the orders. Early in 2017, there was a very curious meeting at Dagoretti Corner in Nairobi. That meeting was between people very close to President Uhuru Kenyatta at the time, people like Johnson Sakaja, etc., and William Samoei Ruto. Just prior to that meeting, there had been a lot of rumors flying around. Why? Because the deputy president had vanished from the public limelight. Some Kenyans were even speculating that he was sick. But those who were following the Kumekucha brand at the time would have already known that I had revealed to Kenyans who did not want to believe that there was a huge problem between the president and his deputy. And I know why many people rubbish that story. There was a general election just around the corner. How do you have a problem between a president and his deputy before a general election? How? How do you even wrap your mind around such an idea? But of course I was working on facts and the information I'd gathered. At the time this meeting was unfolding, of course being camouflaged as a Nyama Choma session at Dagoretti Corner. Dagoretti Corner is famous for that in Nairobi. At that time I thought to myself that this must be some kind of peace meeting, to bury the hatchet between the president and his deputy. But later on, a few other facts didn't make sense. A few other facts that emerged from this meeting. And many weeks later, I got some information that shed light on this. I was told that actually the deputy president was going to take charge on behalf of the president. He was going to take charge of managing the electioneering period and the Jubilee campaign, and especially the presidential campaign. In other words, he was the one who was going to give orders to various government departments and liaise with the intelligence during the general elections. What does that mean? It means that various orders that were given during the general elections, arrest so-and-so, charge so-and-so for what they said, deport Miguna, etc., all those orders came from William Samoei Ruto, who was head of operations at the time. And the ruthless nature in which things were dealt with is very revealing and very instructive to those who want to see. If you want to see, it clearly gives you a glimpse of the kind of leadership you will have when you elect the deputy president as the president of the Republic of Kenya. Which is okay, because I've had some Kenyans saying they prefer a tough leader, a benevolent dictator even. And people are justified. People are allowed under the Constitution to hold their own views. Yeah, that's why it's okay. Anyway, the long and short of what I'm saying is that the idea and the order to deport Miguna Miguna must have come from the Deputy President. Of course, it is very possible that there were other people who persuaded him to take that stand. Of course, that's very possible. But you see, the Deputy President was in a position to say, no, I will not handle it like that. Why? Because he was in charge of all operations. Yeah, it was very easy for him to say, no, I will not do it like that. I'll handle it in another way. Yeah, you guys put me in charge of this, and I'm responsible for the decisions, so let me take my own different decision. So that means, even if he had persuasion from other quarters, he could have said no. And Miguna Miguna is a very intelligent man who has always had his ear to the ground, right from his days at the University of Nairobi. Yeah. And so I'm pretty sure that he's aware of the information I've just given you. And yet at the Ken Mijungu interview, Miguna Miguna went ballistic when he was asked to say something about Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. Indeed, it is now very clear that Miguna Miguna has decided to omit some despots from his list of despots. Or shall I say some chief assistants to the despots he's always talking about. And of course, the easiest way to explain this is that it may be a strategic move. If you're fighting somebody, the enemy of that person is your friend, even if this friendship happens quite suddenly. And it gets even more interesting when that person you're a friend to suddenly is vying to be the next president of the Republic of Kenya. Which brings up the possibility that some kind of deal has been made. A secret deal. And this theory is fueled by the fact that we know that Team Tanga Tanga has been warming up to Miguna Miguna for months. Which also makes a lot of sense for Team Tanga Tanga and the Deputy President. You see, and many Kenyans don't see it like this, you see, what was done to Miguna Miguna is criminal. And the thing about criminal issues is that they don't go out of date. You can still prosecute them at some distant future date when you have a different administration. And in this way, it is very easy to see how the Deputy President can completely wash his hands from this issue at a future date as a result of a deal he made with the accuser, the complainant. Because the complainant will always have a say in these issues. They could say, no, I think we should prosecute so-and-so, so-and-so. This one, leave him out. He was innocent. He was just following instructions. Something like that. And you see, Miguna Miguna is one of the sharpest legal minds I know anywhere in the world. Make no mistake about it. If you don't believe me, go back to the interview and listen carefully to the parts of the interview where any legal matters were brought up. The mind of this Kenyan, Miguna Miguna, was extremely clear in what he was saying. I mean, it is one thing to understand the law, and it is quite another to understand the law so well that you become an invincible opponent in any legal tussle. And so that is the situation with the man who some Kenyans see as the only Kenyan available in this time and period of history to liberate long-suffering Kenyans from impunity, injustice, and rogue governance. Kenya's last hope to some people. Yeah, that is really the truth about this man. Which brings us to the issue I promised to address at the beginning of this video. And to summarize the whole issue in one sentence, there is a huge difference between being a leader, a sober leader, and an activist. The way a leader achieves anything anywhere in the world is by being able to compromise. Now, don't get me wrong. You can be firm and very principled. But you have to be realistic. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices and compromise in order to achieve an objective. Perhaps the best example of this is Nelson Mandela. Many people, even on this channel, believe that Nelson Mandela was a betrayer. He betrayed the cause. But any political realist will be able to quickly tell you, Mandela achieved the objective. The objective of making South Africa free from apartheid. He achieved that objective, no doubt about it. And he achieved it in such a manner that he got great admiration from all over the world. Indeed, there are many who consider this great son of Africa as the greatest leader the continent has ever produced. And let's face it, like Miguna, Mandela suffered. Although that's a very bad comparison, because Mandela suffered for decades. Miguna's suffered for about 4 years now. And Miguna never went to anybody's Robben Island prison. And so when Mandela emerged, he would have said, I'm not going to compromise with despots. He would have said, all these ancestors of our oppressors over the decades must leave South Africa. They must surrender back the land and the resources they have grabbed from us. Anything less than that is unacceptable. What do you think would have happened if Mandela had taken that stand? For one, it is quite possible, indeed quite probable, that the objective of freeing South Africa from apartheid would not have been achieved up to this very date. And so in my view, if you want to be a leader, even if you want to lead a revolution, the way to do it is not the Miguna way. And even if the vast majority of Kenyans cannot put it in the words that have put it, they sense it. Just remember how popular Miguna was shortly after he was deported the second time. Voters in Nairobi were even regretting. They were saying we should have elected this man. Because Miguna vied for the governorship of Nairobi. Many Kenyans were looking up to him as a leader. Contrast that to the situation now. The reaction from many Kenyans that I meet is that they're just exhausted about Miguna, which is a terrible emotion. An emotion that cannot help Miguna, even as he fights for his rights, even as he fights for justice, let alone seeking leadership. That kind of reaction from the public is not good for his cause. No way. When the very people who are firm supporters start siding with the people who made you suffer, then you know there is something very wrong. Sometimes it is impossible not to be yourself. It is impossible for you to take a different route from the one you've always known. It becomes impossible to abandon your confrontational style of doing things for a more sober, realistic approach to solving a problem, which will get results quicker. And indeed, the results will be better. Because in this life, it is possible to solve one problem, your problem, but end up causing so many other problems that somebody looking back at it will tell you very clearly it was not worth it. If the real intention of former Chief Justice Willy Mutunga was to fight for the judiciary in Kenya and the future of rule of the law, very noble causes, then he picked the wrong case, in my view, to achieve this objective. In any legal system in the world, if you find yourself in a situation where you want to fight for a certain legal cause, very noble, you cannot avoid the politics surrounding the legal case you decide to choose. And it is very easy that the politics surrounding the case you have chosen, to take your cause forward, can bog you down so much, the politics surrounding it, can bog you down so much that you'll completely lose sight and direction of the noble cause you started off with. But that's just my view. I could be wrong. After all, I'm not a lawyer. I have no legal training. But I understand politics. And even if I was house low in understanding politics, the period in which I have been dealing with Kenyan politics, I believe is long enough to have gotten some lessons and realities through to me of all those decades. Something must have finally sunk in. And today, I don't even want to go back to the time that Miguna Miguna fired serious barbs at the former Chief Justice, especially concerning the judgment of the presidential petition in 2013. That is a huge topic that I'll probably tackle another day. Just before I go, I'd like to draw your attention to the latest weekly intelligence briefings offer. Details on your screen right now. It is not as good as the offer which has just expired. But in my view, it is a great deal. And it means that you can get all the back issues of my weekly intelligence briefings with all the super sensitive manenos. Will keep your weekend very occupied. And will leave you in a situation where you understand Kenyan politics much deeper and much better. You'll even understand much better why I am saying what I am saying concerning Miguna politically. And that is why I highly recommend that you become a WIB subscriber immediately. You can also get payment details in the description area below this video on YouTube. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your support. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.